Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Mayor and Board of Commissioners for the Town of Rising Sun for August 27th, 2019. Can I get the roll call, please?
Mayor Marion.
Here.
Commissioner Oppenreich.
Here.
Commissioner Braun. Here. Commissioner Warning.
Here.
Commissioner Pearson.
Here.
You have quorum all present.
Thank you. Rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bow your heads with me for a brief prayer. Father God, I come to you tonight on behalf of our town. God, I ask that you watch over our citizens and our elected body. Be with us as we're here tonight and as we leave this evening. Be with our police department, Lord, and all our first responders, as well as with our fire department and the armed forces that are serving here and overseas. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So first on the agenda is a public presentation for the Rising Sun Little League Girls Softball State Champions. So, yes, absolutely. So I'm going to start this by saying I'm going to call each of your names, and if you don't mind starting down there and coming up, and I'll hand you your citation. And then after we complete that, you guys and your parents are more than welcome to leave because we will bore you to death if you sit here all night.
Well, welcome to stay too. But,
Yes. This is probably the largest amount of people that we've had for a very long time. So a huge audience here. All right. So first off, I wanted to say congratulations. And I wanted to give a special, well, it's not me. I contacted the governor's office, and the governor wanted to send a citation on behalf of himself and the state to you all. So he gave this beautiful citation, which I'm going to give to your coach, and it reads the following. Rising Sun Little League Girls Senior Softball Team, greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of your outstanding representation of your team and the community, in honor of the winning spirit, athletic talent, hard work, and good sportsmanship you have demonstrated throughout the competition, and as our citizens join in honoring the coaches and team members of the Maryland State Softball Champions, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, signed by Governor Larry Hogan on this 7th day of August 2019. So if your coach could come up here, I would love to present this to him.
if you can make it up here.
Yes. So I guess I should say on behalf of the governor of the state of Maryland, congratulations. And all right. So now we're going to start with the town citations. So if I mess up your last name, I'm really sorry, okay? So this one is to Allie Borchard, and they all read the same, all right? It says, in recognition of your team effort in becoming the 2019 Girls All-Star State Senior League Softball Champions, and for going on to successfully achieve the honor of regional runner-up for the Senior League Softball Tournament, we are proud that you represented our town with professionalism, courage, and congratulations on an outstanding year. All right, Grace Boyd. All right, Marissa Cooper. You skipped one.
Oh.
Congrats. All right, Julia Forsmark. Cassidy Hayden. All right, so we're going with some of the coaches that are here. Mike Jakubik. Sam Jakubik. Alyssa Jerzik. Jesnick, sorry. I told you I was going to get it wrong. Gathering Johnson. Mike Johnson. Thank you so much for coming. Hannah Martin. Abby McBride. Mike McBride. Lacey Simpson. All right. Hannah Wolf. And last but not least, your coach, your head coach, Paul Taylor. I just want to say we are so proud of you guys. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and to hopefully an amazing season next year. So congratulations. And I just want to thank you guys. I'm going to make sure that this gets framed and put downstairs. They sent us a team picture and they all signed it. So thank you guys so much for that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I really think you should make them stay from now on.
To the last.
Like a civics lesson.
Mhm.
Get them some extra credit for high school. Should ask everybody's AP government. They need to stay around. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next business meeting item, which is our Planning Commission appointments. Town Administrator, do you have that?
Yes, I do. Mayor and Commissioners, what you have before you is a resolution to appoint Mr. Joseph Shepherd to one of the vacant positions on the Rising Sun Planning Commission. If it is okay with, if you want this to be, if you want to consider this tonight, I'll take your directive to read the resolution into the record.
I know the board had already given their go-ahead to appoint Mr. Shepherd after meeting with him individually. So go ahead, Town Administrator. Thank you.
So, as we try to do, because it's going to be a long meeting, condensing the boilerplate language at the beginning of the meeting, and I'm going to start with the fourth whereas. It's referencing Chapter 2 of the Town Code that talks about creating a planning commission. And so that whereas this article contains Section 2-209 titled Creation and administration of a planning commission and a board of zoning appeals, which further establishes the creation of both a planning commission and a board of zoning appeals, and further establishes the membership, terms of appointments, removal, vacancy, meeting, rules of conduct, and records. And whereas there are currently 4 vacancies on this 7-member board, and whereas Joseph Shepard has stepped forward to volunteer to serve on this planning commission and to fill the vacancy of one of these positions, therefore the mayor and commissioners wish to appoint Joseph Shepard to serve on the planning commission and to serve in this position until June 30th of 2024. Therefore, be it further resolved that the mayor and commissioners of the town of Rising Sun pass, approved, and adopted this resolution on this 27th day of August 2019.
Could I get a motion on Resolution 2019-8?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Only discussion I have is a big thank you to Mr. Shepard for volunteering for this board. I know, like I said, the board members individually met with Joe, and we are excited to have him on our Planning and Zoning Board. Can I get a motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next is Resolution 2019-9. Town Administrator, do you have that?
Yes. This is a resolution to appoint an interim treasurer and designate account access. And as you know, as of July 1st, the town brought all of its accounting and financial services back in-house. And we have made investments in financial software systems to be able to handle the town's finances internally. As part of that, the town charter talks about the town having a treasurer. And although we have since hired a new employee to basically fill the position as a bookkeeper for the town, the individuals, it would be premature to give the authority of a treasurer over to that individual at this time until they get a little bit more acclimated. So in the interim, we would, this is basically a resolution to appoint the office manager, town clerk, Judy Melton, to serve in that position. And in addition to that, as part of how we manage our finances, there are people that are authorized to make basically all of the decisions on town finances, but we need a day-to-day person to be able to manage the funds within the accounts, such as transferring funds from one account to another account, and to also answer any questions that the bank would have. And let me just back up and say, the town over the last 10 years or so has been very diligent at creating internal controls to avoid some issues that occurred many decades ago. And as part of that, we have very stringent financial software policies that the banks have also put in place. And it just makes it a lot easier if we have this interim or the treasurer being able to answer those questions. I'll give you an example. We have very tight restrictions on the cashing of any checks that occur. And when the town was going through the transition, the bank picked up on the fact, believe it or not, that the appearance of the checks were different than the appearance of the checks that have been used for the last 10 years. So that got flagged. And when they contacted Judy to try to get this resolved, they were not able to take her decision of that's okay because she's not named in any of our financial policies. So that's what this resolution does, to try to clear the way to more efficiently manage those types of administrative things. So if that is something that you're in favor of, I can read that resolution into the record also.
All right. So there's the typical boiler points that Calvin spoke of. So we're going to skip down to whereas the mayor and commissioners previously adopted a fiscal policy manual which establishes policies and procedures for internal controls and to ensure the timely processing of bills and collection of monies owed to the town and the reliability of financial processes, reporting, and accountability. And whereas the mayor and commissioners previously adopted Resolution 2017-01 which establishes the general operation and guidelines for the establishment and maintenance of town safety deposit boxes, bank accounts, investment funds, and other similar financial instruments. And whereas the mayor and commissioners deem it necessary to update and to reaffirm by resolution these procedures, and whereas the mayor and commissioners previously established that Mayor Travis Marion, Commissioner August Pearson, and Town Administrator Calvin A. Bonenberger Jr. would have prior authorization to sign any forms, contracts, or agreements on behalf of the town of Rising Sun for the establishment of safety deposit boxes and general banking and financial services for the town, to include checking and savings accounts, CDs, money markets, and other similar financial and investment instruments, and to perform all general activities associated therewith, to include serving as the required signatures on all checks, deposits, withdrawals, and fund transfers as needed and in accordance with to the town's fiscal policies. And whereas the mayor and commissioners wish to establish that town clerk Judy Melton to also serve as the interim town treasurer with prior but limited thereto authority to process any town accounts as needed for the purpose of managing the administrative processing, reconciliation, and review of all town accounts to include checkings, savings, accounts, CDs, money markets, and other similar financial and investment instruments, and to speak on behalf of the town on any banking issues related to these accounts. And whereas upon the prior authorization of the town administrator in accordance to the town's fiscal policies, the interim treasurer shall have the authorization to transfer funds only between these accounts for the purposes of paying town bills and the timely management of town investment funds. And be it further resolved that the mayor and commissioners of the town of Rising Sun passed, approved, and adopted this resolution on the 23rd day of July, 2019. Could I get a motion for resolution 2019-09?
So moved.
Second.
Mayor, if I could just make a correction.
Yes.
We borrowed this from the resolution we did in July. The resolution is approved, adopted, and submitted on this 27th day of August,
Okay.
2017, or 19.
With that correction,
Yeah.
is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
Yes, I,
Okay.
just one point. I have no problem with Judy taking this one right now, but it is only an interim position. Eventually, the town clerk, a billing clerk, or the account, I don't think, a bookkeeper?
Yeah.
Is that what her title is?
She would officially become the town treasurer at that point.
Yeah. Once she gets her official title,
Yes.
this resolution would become null?
No, we would adopt
would
a new
adopt a new
resolution
resolution.
naming
Okay, I
her
just-
as the town treasurer.
Answered the question.
Thank you, Commissioner Pearson. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Town Administrator, Resolution 2019-10, reformatting of the personnel manual.
This is one that I'm offering up. This is not something that you have to vote on tonight if you're not comfortable with. Essentially what this resolution is that our current personnel manual is over 20 years of age. And when that personnel manual was made, if anyone can remember this technology, it was produced by using WordPerfect. And WordPerfect may or may not even be in circulation anymore.
It is.
But it was then converted over into very earlier versions of Microsoft Word. And if you remember when we've made revisions to this document in the past, it is a nightmare because of all the tab spacing and the formatting that's just embedded in the document because of the carrying it forward and using hybrids. So basically what the staff did, and we used the intern, Jenna, while she was here, to reformat the document to make it much more presentable, to take care of some grammatical mistakes in it, and to clean the document up so that it's a lot easier to reference. And there were tab spacings that were not consistent in the document. So you have that in front of you where you can see that we just cleaned it up. So again, there were no changes to any of the rules and policies. It was just to clean up the grammatical issues with it. So I'm just presenting that to the board here.
Kelvin, is this the complete
Yes,
manual?
yes.
Board members, what's your pleasure? I would assume since it has the same content.
Since it has the same
just
content,
reformatted.
we're just,
Is it-
we're just really voting on the format,
Well,
right?
I would actually ask the question, is it even necessary if it's strictly just reformatting? Were any of the words changed?
No. There were commas added because they were not structurally correct grammar, that kind
Okay.
of stuff.
Kind of like, let's have grandma over for dinner and then,
Yeah.
comma missing.
Yeah.
Eat grandma or whatever it is. I can't really exact. Yeah.
I don't see a need to vote on a resolution, and if there's no changes to the actual wording.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. We can.
Doesn't matter to me, but
Alan?
I'd actually like to look through it.
Okay. We'll go ahead and postpone this one to our next meeting, Town Administrator.
That's why I asked if it was the complete thing,
Yeah.
because I think
Can
the
we
one I've
also
got
make
is
a
probably
motion that the
10
town's
years old.
official word processing documentation software is Word Perfect going forward? Worth a try.
All right, moving forward into citizens' input. Mr. Barr?
Yeah, my name's Bill Barr. I'm from 16 Louise Court in Valley View Village in town. I actually have a two-small-part question. With all the talk of all the water issues, which way is water going and it's not going, is this elementary school, being a concerned grandparent, my granddaughter's going to that school, or is the elementary school going to take water or not take town water?
Town Administrator?
I think one thing that's very important to say is that the town has despite what some comments have been made, the town has no leverage over any entities beyond the town limits to take water, sewer, or any utilities from us. The facilities listed in our master sewer and water plan all requested service from us for a variety of reasons. We tried to be stewards of environmental issues, as pointed out to us by MDE and their documents. It's all it's their statements, it's their recommendations, it's their findings, and they asked if we would consider providing those services. So we took the steps to legally have it in our master sewer and water plan so that if a decision was made to go forward with getting those services, the master sewer and water plan will be updated. As of right now, there has been no request from more specifically to your question, Rising Sun Elementary School, there has been no request from them to receive water from us. There's been no updated request other than what was originally stated previously of their interest in getting water. Mayor, I think that's basically in line with what we've been told.
Yes.
Okay. Second two-part of the question. Any update on 150 Hopewell Road, which would be my daughter and her husband's house, to get town water there? I've heard October, it's, they're back in their house and, they have the hand-dug well and they need the water. And I don't understand what the holdup is.
So to answer that question, the holdup is in part, the struggles that we've had with the county, because the county was refusing to acknowledge the town's master sewer and water plans. Although we have been moving full speed ahead with doing that, we needed to get their approval. We just got the approval from MDE technically to extend water out to Rising Sun Elementary School, which is along the route of the property that you're talking about. We have met with the engineers. Right now we are surveying Wilson Road because we plan on upsizing the line along Wilson Road, which would then be ran to your
Wilson Avenue.
Wilson Avenue, that would then would pick up the property in question.
So, if understanding MDE has the approval and you're doing surveying?
We're doing the survey work on Wilson Road to do the line alignment. We are still tentatively looking for an October date to
Okay,
be putting the water line in the ground,
okay,
so.
okay.
I would say the biggest holdup would be the master sewer water plan. That's what took, the county was refusing at this time to acknowledge it, and then MDE stepped in and ruled in the town's favor, basically. And now we can move forward with surveying and potentially putting the line in.
I mean, let's remember, we were already told by the county at one point that we didn't have authorization to do survey on another project, so the willingness on the part of the county at times has been difficult to navigate. But one thing I would say to you and to all the residents, I don't want this to sound like the town of Rising Sun, sat back and did nothing. We have pushed the envelope as much as we can legally in moving forward with this stuff. So now that we finally got the approval from MDE, we can move forward with the surveying of the lines. So, and again, we still think that we're hopeful to be on schedule for in October.
You fine with that? Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? All right. Chief?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Board of Commissioners. My report's going to be extremely brief. Earlier today, we were tied up with several vehicle stops and drug arrests, so I did not have time to prepare a full report. But what I would like to bring to the attention of the board is recently we began an initiative to deal with the issues right here in Center Square with people blocking the intersection of Pearl Street and Queen Street and so forth. It seemed to have taken some wings and legs and landed on our social media site with complaints about the officers. But what you're seeing is us trying to change human behavior. And as you see, there's a ton of resistance. But it's going to continue until we get to the point where it's manageable to get, public safety transportation through that intersection when they need to get through. And that's pretty much my report for tonight, unless there's questions. Thank you, sir.
The only thing that I would add, Chief, is when speaking of the discussion boards, the town itself does not have an official discussion board. We just have an official Facebook site where we put out announcements, and that's it. There are no comments at that time. The citizens within our town have created those message boards, and that's where they decide to have their discussions.
Exactly. Thank you, sir.
All right, Town Administrator.
A couple items I wanted to update you on. At the last meeting, I talked about the paving initiatives that we are undertaking. In further consultation with the engineer, it is our goal to be replacing some of our undersized 4H lines in town. And so to some degree, we would be throwing good money after bad if we pave over those 4H lines, if we think that there's an expectation in the next couple of years to be replacing those 4H lines. So we are basically redirecting some of the money that was allocated for paving towards actually replacing those lines. As I mentioned at the last meeting, the difficulty is if you can imagine a network of water lines, it does not make engineering sense to basically take an 8-inch line, which is ultimately what we want, that drops down to a 4-inch line, or just jump in the middle of a series of 4-inch lines and suddenly turn a portion of that into 8-inch lines. It's not a good engineering tactic to do it. So we're trying to create a mechanism to basically continue the 8-inch line where it's at into the grid of 4-inch lines to slowly eliminate those older lines using that method. So we're in the process of doing that. That does not mean that some of the paving projects, specifically Valley View, is still on the list to be repaid, because although we've had problems with the water line down there in the past. It has been a couple of years. And we can't, I guess, live in fear that we can't pave something because we're afraid a water line is going to break. We have to move on that stuff. The issue that Commissioner Pearson had raised is we know we may want to go into those other areas and dig up the water line. So don't pave the road now just to turn around knowing that we're going to be digging it up conceivably in the next 5 years or so. So Valley View is something that we're going to be putting out to bid, that the elected body will decide upon when the pricing comes in. And then there are a couple of other locations that have bad paving but no water lines underneath them. So that's how we're trying to, I guess, basically put the horse in front of the cart to do it in an organized manner. So hopefully at the next meeting I'll have actual pricing for you with the idea of starting paving in October, late September to early October.
Thank you.
The other thing, the scanning project has been completed again. Jenna did a fantastic job in the volume of scanning that we did. I also want to thank the staff in general. If you've been down on the second floor and down in the basement, the Public Works Department and our staff have been working diligently over the last week and a half at moving stuff and consolidating things in order to make some of our working space a lot more usable and user-friendly. So kudos and thank you to the Public Works Department and the staff for doing that. The big thing is all of our blueprints, decades worth of blueprints, about 90% of them have all been scanned into a cloud-based system which will enable us to dispose of those blueprints down there that take up a lot of room. The other item is, as I have mentioned in the past, we do have a new house under construction on Walnut Street. That is moving along pretty quickly. The car wash, if you've driven by, there have been some folks that have been concerned that the car wash tore its business down and was no longer going to operate in town. That's not the point. I know Commissioner Auchenreef has some comments in his presentation, but it's important to note that the car wash has invested, easily six-figure dollars into building a new car wash because he wants to stay in the town of Rising Sun and to have a bigger and better car wash there. Also, I received official word today that, and I don't know if I'm going to get the name right, but Aberdeen Proving Ground Bank has signed a lease for the old Hibbert's Sporting Goods over in the Martin Shopping Center. It will not have a drive-through. That has always been in the past. There have been other locations in town where Aberdeen has looked at, but they've always flagged it because they wanted a drive-through. They're not going to be putting a drive-through at this location, but again, they want to have a branch in town, so that is going to be happening. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Town Administrator. All right, my mayor's report is going to be pretty brief tonight. I wanted to send a special congratulations to our coffee shop across the street, Rise and Grind. They were the $10,000 winner of the Howard Bank Keep It Local contest. And they also just recently celebrated their 1-year anniversary during that time. I thought it really spoke of our small business community and the fact that Rise and Grind also, there were 2 other businesses within town that made the top 10 and then ended up making, I believe, the top 5. Heron Things, which is located on South Queen Street off of Cherry Street, and then Shepherd Design Company, which has a location, what is the road that his business is on?
Buckley, yeah.
Buckley, on Buckley Avenue. Rise and Grind actually gave them both a check for $500. So that really speaks highly of their small business spirit. I also wanted to add that this year, I don't have a time for you yet, but October the 19th is going to be our Fall Spooktacular. We have an amazing event planned this year. Every year we try to do something really fun. So last year we did bumper cars in Main Square. The year before that we did a zip line down one of our side streets. we do get pretty innovative, and that's in a large part to our local business community for donating a lot of money to put this on and to support our town. But last but not least, I also wanted to add a short little plug that the Cecil Whig is doing the Cecil Favorites contest. We have a lot of local businesses within our town, and I would love to see Rising Sun businesses well represented in the Cecil Favorites. Last year we had a lot of winners from the Rising Sun community, and I would love to see that continued in the 2019 edition of Cecil Favorites. So that ends my comments. Commissioner Braun.
I have no report.
Commissioner Pearson.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Warnick.
The only thing I have is if the mayor wins most popular politician, he said he would go into a flog the mayor thing at Spooktacular.
Spooktacular.
Jay, did we get, is that okay if we do that, by the way?
Whatever law you want to pass.
A huge thank you. Commissioner Warnick did not say this, but a huge thank you to him for putting on an amazing movie in the park. He partnered with the community fire company. They reached out to us, and they had a great showing of Captain Marvel. So a big thank you to you, Dave, for putting that on. Commissioner Auchenreith.
Okay. I've got a few things I want to talk about in my report of businesses that relate to water usage. I have some pictures that Calvin's going to put up here, and hopefully go in order. See what we got first. Thank you, Judy, for helping me. So as Calvin talked earlier about the car wash in town, Clean Enterprises, that is a business there that's highly dependent on water. They have, and Commissioner Warnick and I were on the board, the P&Z board, when he put that new sign up. So the owners of that car wash have invested a lot of money in this town, and I thank them for it. One of the things I heard was because of our water debacle, he had shut down and moved out of town. But we want to thank George for tearing it down. He's building a brand new state-of-the-art car wash there with a second automated lane for everybody to drive through. That facility is washing cars, a laundromat, and a dog wash. So he's got a lot going on there. They're moving along with it. He's also they took that place down to the dirt. Vacuums out, everything. And Calvin, can you go back one? If you look at that sign, he's got 3 other locations and probably could have easily shut this one down and said, come to Oxford, come to all these other places. But no, he's rebuilding this place for Rising Sun. It's going to be a beautiful addition to our main street. And like I said, I think it's George Templeton, is that his name? Temple. Okay. Temple. Well, thank you, George, for reinvesting in our town. As Calvin said, a lot of money there. Next couple, Calvin. So here's another business in town that highly dependent on water, Fringe Salon and Spa. And part of the reason I talk about them tonight, they just celebrated 1 year under new ownership. Ann Hovatter used to own that. She sold it to Lynn and Crystal, and they're celebrating a year in business. And if anybody's interested, I have a cool little coupon set up here for you. They also have a spa in there now. They've brought in somebody to do facials and everything, and they're coming right along. And they are very successful. Another place very highly dependent on water. And as you can see the picture there, back to school next week. They got specials on haircuts. They expect everybody to come in. So, okay, Calvin. Here's another one. As the mayor just talked about a few minutes ago, Rise and Grind just celebrated their 1 year anniversary. Without water, we're not getting a good cup of coffee, are we, Dave?
Nope.
And then also,
But because of Rise and Grind, we are getting a good cup of coffee.
they're also investing a lot of money. They invested a lot of money in that building. They're investing a lot of money in Bud McFadden's old Western Auto, converted it into apartments. Micro or craft brewery? What do we call it?
Micro.
In micro.
Micro. And then also in the back, an art den. Another place, highly dependent on water usage there. And thank the Vanderhoff family, I really do, for all they've done. All of these businesses so far are involved in the community in Sunfest, in the Spooktacular, any type of events, they're willing to open up and let you have a party there. So here's another one that I wanted to talk about, because this one also shows what our community in Rising Sun is all about. Four Seas Pizza Restaurant down here in the Rising Sun Town Plaza. This summer, it's a family-owned business. Of course, they use water to keep the place clean, wash dishes and everything. But this summer, the father down there, Peter, he had a health issue, and they had to shut down for a little while. And this is what really stands out. On the front window there, I don't know who did it, but somebody created a card for everybody to come and sign. Did you do that, Mayor? Really?
Yes.
Well, if you look at it, I mean, it's full of signatures. The star up there, Sheriff Adams went down and put it, but everybody went down there and put good wishes to get well and hurry up and open back up, because people love to eat there. And I was talking to Gus the other night, and he was just beside himself with, to say thank you to everybody that, was concerned about what happened. No, the water issue didn't shut them down and run them out of town either. And we wish Pete, best of health, get back very soon. He can't wait to get back and get down there. And so that really speaks to what the town of Rising Sun is all about. It wasn't just a business. People care about what's going on down there. Okay, so our next one. Here's another one, another business, very active in our town, in the Sunfest, Spectaculars, NLX Fitness Gym. It's family-owned business. Frank Wood and his sons run it over there. Frank was just recently in a bad car accident, and he's going to be out of commission for a while, but the business is still going. We wish Frank, speedy recovery. He had a very serious injury. So, like I said, this is another business. They're not as dependent on the water as some. You drink a lot of water when you're over there. But this is another business that's been, in here for a few years. I think a year ago he expanded into the old hair salon that moved out next door there. And so we wish them well. Calvin, what do we got next here? This is kind of not an honorable mention. I took this picture today because it's right on Main Street. I think they're celebrating their 3rd year since we cut the ribbon over there, and they moved into this new facility, Riviera Maya. Another, big contributor to our Main Street and to our town. And it also gives people, a lot of options to go and eat. And they put a lot of money into that building. If anybody remembers what it used to be, built that deck out there, and great food, great margaritas, man. So, what else we got up there, Calvin? This one I took because I just think it's a beautiful picture of our little stage out front. I don't know who did all the flowers, but, for health reasons, I walk at night. You probably see me wandering around the town, and I saw that, and I was like, man, that's another beautiful picture of what we've got going on in town here. Calvin, do I have one more up there, or is that it?
No, that's it.
Okay. So I, wrap it up. Like I said, I just wanted to acknowledge all these businesses in town that are investing a lot of money into this town to beautify it, to give us options of places to go. I want to mention a few other places because I don't want to leave them out. Buck's, Bottom of the Hill Restaurant, Sue's Restaurant, Sun Pharmacy, Bigfoot Pizza, who put a lot of money out when his place burnt down, and Helix Tattoo Lodge. 3 years this summer, they celebrated an anniversary. So, what did I put here? So here's what you can do. You can go to Rise and Grind, get some coffee and donuts and pastries and everything. Then you can go down to the car wash, get your car washed, drop off your laundry, drop off your dog to get washed. Then you can go get a haircut. Your significant other can go get a spa day. Then you can go to dinner at one of our many restaurants. And then you can go see Frank and his family over there at NLX, and they can work on your fitness goals, And then you can go down bottom of the hill and have a cold one, or any of the other places in town. But just, I couldn't, come to this meeting without acknowledging something that I'm seeing in this town, that no, we're not, our water issue did not run restaurants out or shut the car wash down. They actually are investing in our money, and I appreciate them believing in the town of Rising Sun, investing in keeping their businesses here and not taking them out. I think it says a lot to what we do here in this town and what our residents do. And we attract residents from outside of town, from Conowingo to Pennsylvania. So keep up the good work, all the businesses in town. So that's all I got, Mayor. Thank you.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that my mother was the one that actually put the board up for Pete, and she leaned on me to get it out there to get people to sign. So big shout out to her for doing that. And as Commissioner Alton-Reese said, we're all wishing Pete a quick recovery. Town Administrator, did you want to speak for a moment about the vacancies that we have?
Yes, I'll go from the vacancies right into the town election process. The board vacancies, we have 3 vacant positions on the Planning Commission and 3 vacant positions on the Board of Appeals. And these boards are increasingly critical for our town going forward because these are the boards that need to review and approve any land development applications. And they are also boards that need to hear requests for variances, whether it's putting a deck on, an addition on, or whatever. We need to have these 2 board positions, these 2 boards to be properly seated with members. So anyone who's interested in serving on these positions can contact Mayor Marion or Commissioner Braun, who's the ex officio member of the Planning Commission. But please reach out if you're interested in serving on these boards. The other item is the election process. This is a time of the year where we need to talk about the upcoming town elections. The next town election is coming up on Monday, October 21st, the 3rd Monday in October. There are 2 commissioner seats that are open. You see the qualifications in front of you. It's basically you have to be a town resident and you have to be 25 years of age at the time of your election to office. You have to be a qualified voter of the town and again a bona fide resident in town for at least 1 year preceding the date of your election. Need to be free of any criminal violations other than minor traffic violations and other such minor misdemeanors punishable by fine only. The 2 commissioner seats are for 4-year terms also. If anyone who's interested in seeking these offices in accordance to the town code and some state laws, the candidates need to fill out a registration form that includes a financial disclosure form, a campaign finance form, and additional campaign finance forms would be submitted in accordance to Chapter 2, Article 7. And basically just to highlight what the campaign finance forms are, it's no different than on the county, state, and federal level. The residents have a right to know who might be financially backing candidates. And although we're a small town and you wouldn't think that would be an issue, the residents still have a right to know who might be making large, let's hypothetically say a developer who has a pending development project could be making large donations to a candidate to get them elected. The residents have a right to know that. So that's what the campaign finance forms are about. No candidate will be listed on the official ballot until all required documents are fully complete and submitted and verified by the Rising Sun Ethics Board and the Board of Election Judges. I think it's important to note here, candidates are not screened by the staff or the sitting elected officials. They are screened and vetted through independent boards that are appointed, one being the Ethics Board and the other one being the Board of Election Judges. Again, failure to comply with the campaign finance and ethics requirements might result in removal from the ballot and/or disqualification from office. The other things we technically need to talk about is voter registration. Qualified voters shall be every person who is 1, a citizen of the United States, 2, at least 18 years of age, 3, a bona fide resident of the town for at least 30 days preceding any election in which he or she shall offer to vote, is eligible to register to vote in town elections. And Voter registration, all qualified persons wishing to register to vote shall do so at the Cecil County Election Board and as provided for by state law. Any qualified persons registered and listed on the statewide voter registration list at an address within the incorporated limits of the town of Rising Sun shall be considered registered town voters and shall be eligible to vote in town elections. The upcoming election calendar, as I said, the town election is Monday, October 21st, 2019. The polls open at 8 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. The deadline to register as a voter is Friday, September 20th, 2019 at 5 p.m. The last day to register as a candidate is Friday, September 20th, 2019 at 6 p.m. We know that people work, so we keep the town hall open extra hours so someone can come in and file to be a candidate. The last day to request an absentee ballot, if you're not going to be in town the day of the election, whether it's for work, vacation, medical issue you have to take care of, you can request an absentee ballot to be able to have your vote registered. You need to have the request for that ballot submitted by Friday, October 11th, 2019 at 5 p.m. And all absentee ballots are due by 7:59, or essentially 1 minute before the polls close on election day. So if you have an absentee ballot, you fill it out, you can bring it back up to town hall up until 7:59 the day of the election. So that concludes that.
Thank you, Town Administrator. I do have some upcoming important dates for you. Commissioner Authon Reese spoke of one of the businesses he spoke about was the Art Den. Their grand opening is going to be Friday, September the 6th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We are going to be there as a board, at least most of us will be there, to celebrate with them as they open up a new business here in our community. A couple of other important dates. There's a town meeting on Tuesday, September the 10th. There's also a Planning and Zoning meeting September the 9th at 6:30. There is another Planning Commission meeting on Monday, September the 23rd at 6:30 p.m. And then there's another town meeting on Tuesday, September the 24th at 7 p.m. We're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting, but the board will be entering into an executive session for personnel and legal. So we will adjourn and then meet back for an executive session. Thank you.